Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Kelly J TV. Yeah, I'm so happy for today's episode. We have the amazing Jindia Blount on here to tell her story of just her journey of being someone who has dealt with mental health. We're going to talk on the stigmas of mental illness, the misconceptions of it. You guys are in a rude of awakening for today's show. So I do hope y'all are ready. I hope y'all are booted and suited. Make sure that y'all already have your cups ready because tonight we are definitely spilling a lot of tea with Miss Jen. Y'all will hear me call her Miss Jen or Jen. Um but yes, if y'all have any questions for her, make sure that you guys are sorry I said art. Make sure you guys comment below and you guys comments will show up on the screen as well. Before we bring her up, I do want to show you guys another shirt we have coming out. Oh, all I do is work, smoke, and tell jokes. So, you guys, if y'all are interested in getting a shirt, do know that y'all can always DM me or hit me up, and I will make sure you guys get your shirts as well. So, shout out to my girl Tenji with her customs company, t-shirt company, who's been able to make this possible for Kelly JTV. All right, you guys. So, how's everybody week been going? I hope everybody has had a blessed week. I hope you guys have what we're in Thursday, so I hope you guys have had I hope y'all had a great Taco Tuesday, a good Cinco de Mayo, and today you just relax because if y'all had Cinco de Mayo, maybe some of y'all got a little tipsy, but anyway, that's none of my business. But without further ado, you guys, I would like to bring up this amazing woman, a friend of mine that I've had the pleasure of meeting along with her family. um to know someone is to love someone, and I truly believe in that. And I what I will say is, when it comes to Miss Jen, she's never sugarcoated anything with me. She's been open and honest since the beginning, since we first started connecting with each other. um Her strength in itself is impeccable. um the things she and I have talked about and shared has been, to say the least, something that I will always cherish to the day I die. So, you guys, without further ado, and y'all gonna see me get mad at this little piece before tonight over with, I'm gonna tell you I may cut it. I'm not gonna lie, I may just cut it. It's working my nerves already. We ain't even got the show started yet. Jesus, fix it. Anyway, without further ado, you guys, I'm gonna bring up my friend and one of my look. She actually we do business together. Miss Jindia Blount. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Woo!
Hey girl, hey.
Hey, my
What's
love, how
up, my
are you?
love? I'm fine, sugar. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. First off, I just want to let you know you're looking fabulous. I know that's that good old house of jewelry by Miss Jindia. I ain't gonna plug your business because we're gonna have you on again in June, so you can tell us
Yeah.
more about it. But we also still got other footage that I got to put out, which is so. But before I go into any more, because look, I'm already telling people about your June show. Shh, gotta be quiet. Gotta bring them back, huh? Gotta bring them back. But without further ado, Miss Jen, because you look amazing, why don't you tell my people all about you, where you're from, and just who is Miss Jindia? Can you hear me?
Hold on. I'm not liking this angle. Let me fix y'all 1 second.
Okay.
I like to look people in the eye when I'm talking to them. So hold on 1 second. Let me get y'all right. Look,
Oh, she gonna
so
get
I
us
can I
right,
can
child.
really level with y'all. Yeah, I'll get y'all right. I gotta get y'all all the way together. So hold on. Let me do a little bit of rearranging of some stuff. Look, my husband gonna be
Okay.
mad. Like, what was you doing? What were you doing? 'Cause, I get in trouble. I be getting myself in trouble, girl. But
Well, we can't have you getting in no trouble.
yeah, but I gotta just fix y'all real quick, and let me get y'all. There we go. See, I like to look people eye to eye when I'm talking to 'em. Okay, that's better. I love this angle much better.
Now, can you talk
So
about? I can't hear you.
you can't hear me now?
No, it's low.
Okay, hold on. Let's fix something. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
there we go. So
Hey,
yes, please tell
everybody.
everybody about you.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank you, Kelly, for having me on your show, sweetie. I am so super proud of what you're doing in honor and recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month. This is something that is definitely near and dear to my heart. Okay. So my name, everybody, is Jindia Blunt, and it's Jindia like India with a J. Okay. So Jindia. So Jindia Blunt is my name. Okay, I am originally from Houma, 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 Louisiana. All right, I live in Arlington, Texas. Okay, I am married. I am a mother of five amazing children, two biological children, and three surplus babies, and my family and my family is my world. Family is everything. Okay, I am a 100% disabled U.S. Navy veteran. So I did 7 years in the world's finest Navy. Whoop, whoop. Shout out to my Navy people out there, Semper Fortis, for all of my fellow veterans. Thank you for your service. And my mom and dad, they live in Louisiana. I have one brother who was murdered, unfortunately, back on June 22nd, 2014. But I do have one nephew, two nieces, and as of yesterday, Cinco de Mayo, I am now a great aunt. So my nephew has a son. So my brother has his first grandson, which we are celebrating, y'all, because that is like a huge, huge, huge big deal. So, baby Ezra, Auntie loves you. All right. So that's just a little bit about me, my military background. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I'm an independent consultant with paparazzi accessories. I sell costume jewelry, so I sell everything bling, and I also do PR and marketing. And I've got other business ventures with my son and with my husband and with my daughter, who's been working with Kelly to get her YouTube channel started. So I've got my hands in a lot of things, but I think my most favorite job is wife to my amazing husband and mother to my beautiful, gifted, talented, outstanding children. I love y'all.
Listen, thank you for that. And yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you know now. Throughout the show, you will see people who are commenting, and their comments will pop up. So we do have Miss Kelly here with thanks for your service. So big ups to you for saying that, Miss Kelly. We greatly appreciate that as well. And Miss Jen, you know something. One thing I can truly say about you and your family, the love is real. The love that you guys share, the joy. When not since I've met you, your smile is the most genuine smile I've maybe like for me to even like when you shared your journey with me, I was just like, how? Because baby, ever since I've met you, you've smiled. And your smile has been it's always big and bright, and when I'm around you guys you feel that love and that energy. And a lot of times people forget when dealing with mental health, that's something that they still have to be mindful to stay positive, to stay encouraged, and things like that. And for me, you guys have shown me how to do that just by being y'all are a family that will definitely keep you laughing on a regular basis. I've never had a dull moment when I'm over there. I've enjoyed every moment with y'all. But let me ask you, what do you feel is the most misconception of mental health? When people say, "Oh, I'm diagnosed with bipolar," or "I'm diagnosed with depression," what are some things that you feel is so just messed up with the stigma that people automatically think when they hear it?
So I'm gonna say I could answer two different dynamics of that question as far as like most common misconceptions. Um, I'll start by giving you the most common misconceptions about me personally, and then I'll address that from a mental health perspective, right?
Okay.
So personally, I believe that one of the most common misconceptions about me is that my struggle with my mental health challenges have been made up, or that they're all in my mind, right? Or that I can just flip a switch and turn that on and off, right? That because I can smile through the pain, right? You mentioned the smile. That
Mm-hmm.
because I can smile through the pain, and because I have mastered the coping mechanism of laughing to keep from crying, right? That it's not as bad as it may seem. That the injury or that the blow is not as bad as it may seem. And what I will say to that is that a lot of people, as far as mental health in as a whole, a lot of people have the erroneous idea that if you have the mental health illness, or like if you suffer with mental health illness or disease or disorder, that you are somehow inferior to the quote unquote normal people. Okay. And there's two things that I want to say to that. One is I learned a long time ago that normal is just a setting on your washing machine, right? There's no such thing as normal people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and two, the other part to that is that a person that's struggling with any type of mental health issue, the only difference between that person and someone that's undiagnosed is that they have been equipped and empowered with the tools to combat what's going on in their mind, right? That's the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never felt inferior to anybody that is undiagnosed, or that feels that they live that quote unquote normal, that they have that normal mindset, if you will. Because I learned, my mental health provider actually told me that. She's like, the word normal is just a setting on your washing machine. There's no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just that really resonated within me because I used to get, the side eye or whatever. And now I've grown and I operate in a space where I dare not look down my nose at anyone else. And I definitely won't allow someone to look down their noses at me either.
Hey, I love that. You could listen. You couldn't have answered that better, no better than me. But I will say, I used to always say, I would love to be normal. I want to be normal. I just, but then I'm big on dreaming. I had a dream, and in my dream, I got to see what a normal life for me was like. I am
Mm-mm.
someone who is always out in the streets every day, all day. You gonna find Kelly J riding on 635, 75, 145, 20. You gonna catch me out in the streets. In my dream though, a normal reality for me, I was in the house. I didn't do nothing. And I was like, that was the most depressing dream. That was like the most
Listen,
depressing
you better
dream
know it.
to realize what my actual normal would look like, in a sense,
Yeah,
if I just said I'd rather have a normal life, take all of this away. I'm gonna tell you now, I never
right.
want to be normal. What I am is my normal, and I,
Mm-mm.
I I completely agree with you. And I think a lot of times people do forget, um people do forget that there is no such thing as normal. What is normal? What what is normal?
Yes,
You
right. And then there's this thing now, right? So it's a fad. I feel like it's a very faddish word, but I'm sure you've heard it. Let me know if you've heard it. But you hear everybody making these videos saying, can we normalize this? And can we normalize that? Can we normalize being like this? And can we normalize being like that? And I'm like, normalize what? By whose standards, though? I want to know, like, who is the, first of all, who elected them? And who sits on the seat of the board of what constitutes normal and abnormal, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
would qualify them to sit on that board. Because
To even
I'm
say
more than
it was
sure.
normal.
Girl, listen. So that's my whole thing. Normal by whose standards? Because
Yeah.
I never strive to be normal.
Mhm.
Normal, I equate normal with mediocrity, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm damn sure not a mediocre girl, right?
Exactly.
I'm extraordinary,
You
and
are.
I just think that I have an unquiet mind. That's what I call it.
Mhm.
I have an unquiet mind that is always thinking, and I feel like it's my superpowers that are at work and that I'm always constantly thinking. Another misconception about me um, is that because of my outward appearance, that I'm overconfident, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I
Really?
grapple with yes, absolutely,
Honestly?
honestly, on God, like people think because of my outward appearance that I'm overly confident. I had someone ask me the other day, and it was just innocent, somebody I encourage. So I'm not beyond correction, and
Mhm.
I'm not unapproachable to a certain extent. Okay.
Mhm.
People look at me and they're like, "Oh, girl, you got that RBF, you got that resting bitch face, and you look so mean and unapproachable, right?" But it couldn't be further from the truth.
Mhm.
I'm very approachable, but
Very.
respect is something that I demand, though. It's not an
Mhm.
option. It's not something that I request. Respect
Mhm.
is to be given. It's a demand of mine.
Right.
However, I was asked that because of my personality and because of my looks, do I feel like I'm the type of person who thinks that she doesn't have to work as hard? And I was like, man, I really can appreciate that question. And I said, in fact, I believe the exact opposite, especially, and it's been throughout my entire life, right? Especially because I know what I grapple with internally,
Mhm.
but because of my outward appearance to someone else, they
Mhm.
get this preconceived notion, right? They may put me up on a pedestal and they may expect a certain type of behavior from me. Or they may
Mhm.
put me on a pedestal and they may expect a certain caliber of work from me, right? But I asked to be on that pedestal.
Mhm.
I didn't build it. It's not my lumber and nails that they built it with. So they have in their mind this idea of what I'm supposed to look like, act like, talk like, right?
Mhm.
Even because I curse, right? I've gotten so many times, oh, but you're too pretty to curse like that, or oh, you
Mhm.
so like there's a set of regimented rules on how to look a certain way,
I mean, I
right?
get the same thing even with me. Like automatically, because I'm a big girl, it's oh you eat a lot, so it's eat, that's what you're gonna like to do, and then it's that, and then you have where you move from eating a lot to oh you're so sweet. People is like you said, you first off you're very approachable because I approached you when I first met you. And so let me ask you this, as because what I will say is I didn't know that you even had any insecurities because you do. Now what I will say is you do carry yourself in a confident manner. Um when like I said, since I've met you, it's always been confident. You walk with confidence, you talk with confidence. I don't never see you in a way of what I would think of when I think of someone who has insecurities. It's the shyness of it all, the shyness on the outward. But now you're teaching me that the insecurities can also be on the inward. Because listen, you don't put on a good mask for me, baby. You really have, and these
And the
short little
thing,
muscles
and
be
that's the
pulling
thing
you.
of
You
it,
don't put a
right?
good mask on.
So people think that um and that's another misconception that a lot of people have, that because you don't because my parents instilled in me to be autonomous and to be self-actuating, and because
Mm-hmm.
I don't look for outward approval, right, because that
Mm-hmm.
comes from within, people have this misconception that means that person feels overly confident about themselves, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's not true. So all my life, I've always been academically inclined, right? Always
Mm-hmm.
been like the nerd of the bunch, super
Mm-hmm.
smart. Um, but because of my I'll give you one example, and it's so many that I could use, but we're gonna start with like because of my thank you. So like because of my skin complexion, when I was growing up, right? Um, there were a lot of people in my community that because I was a light skinned girl and because I had a curly hair texture and because I made good grades, right? It was the assumption that
Mhm.
people could try me. Okay.
Mhm.
So people tried me and I had to fight. Like I literally had to fight,
Mhm.
not because I wanted to, but because I was forced to, or because I was picked on or because I was backed into a corner and I had to. So
Mhm.
now as an adult, when I'm just hardcore, I'm very matter of fact, I'm very assertive and I'm very aggressive, it translates as though, oh, I'm cocky or that I'm conceited or that I think I'm this and I'm that. And it's
Mhm.
not that. It's I'm a product of my environment.
Mhm.
And it's my survival, it's my protection, it's how I protect myself, right? So it's my
Mhm.
survival tactic, right? So
Mhm.
I exist in a vacuum. I really do. People think, oh, because I can get on live and I can do this and I can be transparent, but I'm doing it from the comfort of my home, right? But I exist in a vacuum. And the reason I exist in a vacuum is because it's easy to hurt my feelings. It's easy to offend me, right? And
Mhm.
I know my boundaries. I know how easy it is to push my buttons. I know that I struggle with anger. So to protect myself, I exist in a vacuum. I'm only accessible to a certain extent. This is my
Mhm.
comfort zone, right? But
Mhm.
I don't allow people to have the access that I used to allow people to have access to because
Mhm.
I used to struggle with boundaries. I used to struggle with the word no. I used to struggle with wanting to be accepted, wanting to be liked, right? I always struggled with that. And it took me a long time to identify what in me, right? Because it wasn't anybody else. I had to sit down and do some soul searching and realize and identify what was it in me, right?
Mhm.
That was starving or that was seeking approval and
Mhm.
acceptance from other people.
Mhm.
And I couldn't put my finger on it for a long time. I was like, okay, I come from a two-parent loving home, right? I'm always provided for. I don't have like mom issues or dad issues or the cliche things that people say when somebody has those things, right? My family loves me. I have good interpersonal relationships with people. So where is that stemming from? And so
Mhm.
finally, I put my hands on it and I was able to figure it out that
Mhm.
when I was in school, I was often the only black student in my academic classes at school. But
Mhm.
then in my community, because I grew up in the hood, right?
Mhm.
I was that light skinned nerd who took all of the classes with the white kids. So
Mhm.
in class at school, I was the only black kid, so I didn't have a lane there. I didn't fit in because they felt I didn't. Excuse me. They felt I didn't belong in those
Mhm.
gifted and talented classes or those advanced classes. In my neighborhood, I wasn't really accepted, not so much accepted, but I was kind of not as cool. Like didn't fit in as much with them because I didn't have classes with them. I went to class with the white kids. So I didn't
Mhm.
fit in this lane. I didn't fit in with this lane. So
You had to
Jindia had to
create your
make.
own.
I had to make my own lane.
Yeah, you had to. You had no choice.
And I think that's where it stems from. And I didn't realize that until probably last year. Like I always wondered why am I struggling with the word no?
Mhm.
Like I give great advice. I'm good at telling people, girl, no is a complete sentence all by
Mhm.
itself.
Mhm.
But if somebody asked me for something, right,
Can't say no.
I could tell I could tell them no, but I had to provide an explanation behind it.
Mhm.
Well, no, I can't do this because, and I don't owe anybody that.
Mhm.
I don't. The answer is no. And but I will grapple. It will pull at my heartstrings to tell somebody no.
Mhm. I done been there.
But now yeah,
I done
I
been there.
freed myself
It's
from
very
the
hard.
bondage. Yeah, but I had to free myself from that bondage of
Mhm.
wanting to be accepted from other people.
Mhm.
So now I'm just like,
It is
I'm
what it is.
okay. I'm okay with people not being okay with me. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with people not being
And
okay.
I
I
think
got like
once
this.
you get there to where you're okay with just being okay enough for yourself, nothing else anyone else says, does will matter, because now you're walking in a peace of mind for your own self and not anyone else.
Listen,
And
girl,
that, and
it's
let
so
me,
liberating. It's so
a
liberating to
peace of
operate
mind,
in a
it can't
space.
nobody
Girl, listen.
tell me nothing about a peace of mind, 'cause, baby, I done had a peace of mind a couple of times. Like right now, I'm in a peace of mind, and baby, let me tell you, it's the best since sliced bread. But we're gonna go ahead and jump into the comments real quick because we do have people. Oh, they coming, honey. We got questions. So first up, let's
Okay.
see. We got living more life. That's a blessing. Genuine love from family is a beautiful thing. Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
And she
It
feeling
is.
us on 100%. Let's
Yes,
see.
yes, Mo.
So Miss Kelly says, "How many years have you dealt with mental illness?"
Oh, that's a difficult question,
Are
but
we
it's a
back?
good question because
Do we have any?
I
Can y'all
think
hear
in
me?
a
Yeah,
yeah,
let me
in
see.
the black community. Can you hear me?
Oh gosh.
Hello?
Thank
Can
you
you
for
hear
having
me?
the technical difficulty. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
Sorry about that, Charlotte. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're
Can you
back.
hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh, I can hear you. I was
Okay.
gonna say y'all drop some ones in the comments if y'all can hear me. That's what I normally do on my show when
Okay.
I'm
Well,
doing my
yes.
live.
Look, it went completely blank. Don't know what happened.
Okay,
But did you see
so
the question? So the question was,
yes,
how many
I
years
see the
have you
question. It
dealt
says,
with
"How many
mental
years
illness?
have you dealt with mental illness?" And
Mm-hmm.
that's a tricky question because I don't know how many years undiagnosed I
Mm-hmm.
went through, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt like I had an unquiet mind. Always felt like I had more than one thought process going at once. I've always felt like I just overanalyze and I overthink things. Um, and it wasn't until I got into the military um, that I realized that I was having trouble um, prioritizing my work and my personal life. And I started to begin this counseling. And that was when I was first diagnosed with type 2 bipolarism, acute anxiety, and then PTSD from a traumatic experience that I had while I was in the military. And then, of course, with my brother's murder and witnessing his murder, so that PTSD, it just kind of just escalated. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say I got diagnosed in the military probably like around 2002. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's 2021. So I'm gonna say I've been probably grappling with it for about 19 to 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So about 20 years, I would think, give or take.
Okay, and then let me ask you this, because as you stated before, so with PTSD, you ended up being diagnosed with that from the military, and then with what happened with your brother, and God rest his soul, with what happened with your brother, that intensified the PTSD and made it go into overdrive. So I want you to do a favor for me. I want you to explain that to people, because for me, I actually am diagnosed with PTSD. Mine came from having car wrecks, and my car wrecks would happen where people would hit me from the back. So when I'm driving, I drive perfectly fine. People who rode with me know I drive really good. However, it's everybody else in Dallas who don't know how to drive. But the, when now when I'm on the freeway though, if there's a lot of traffic, I have to hurry up and get off. I have
Yes.
to, because my wreck, my the wreck that caused the PTSD was the most traumatic one. So for me,
Okay.
what I would like for you to do is explain to people, because a lot of people just associate PTSD with the military, and they don't know that there are other
Mhm.
things that can actually cause PTSD to come about, and it's just not a military based illness.
Okay, so post traumatic stress disorder or post traumatic stress syndrome um, is something that stems from a traumatic experience. It could be a sexual trauma, it could be witnessing a violent incident, it could be witnessing loss or death, right? It could be something like what Kelly had, which was an accident, but something that triggered your initial fight or flight in you, right? Where you were either physically hurt or you witnessed somebody else be physically injured. And you, for me, I didn't even realize in that moment. Um, I had several instances where in the military, we would go out on like deployments or whatever, and some of the people in our battle group that left with us did not come back with us, if you know what I mean. And then on 9/11, September 11th, was another traumatic event that happened. And I won't go into detail. We don't really have enough time for me to go into specific details of what happened to me on 9/11, but that was another tragic moment for me, where I didn't know if I was gonna, live or die. We were basically told to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So in those moments where you are rendered helpless, right, where
Mm-hmm.
you have no control and you're rendered helpless and you have this overwhelming feeling of hopelessness and no control, it triggers something inside of you, right? Where later on down the line,
Mm-hmm.
you may be in another situation and unbeknownst to you, right, you have what's called a trigger, and that trigger activates those same feelings and emotions that you had when you were experiencing your initial traumatizing event. And the association between the two is what's causing the post traumatic stress disorder. So it's post trauma. So it happened after your traumatic event. But when
Mm-hmm.
your body goes into that physiological space of fight or flight, or, oh, I remember this. This is familiar to me. Okay, we don't
Mm-hmm.
like this feeling. We're feeling helpless. We're feeling hopeless. Okay, get us out of this. We don't know what to do, right? And this is what your body is telling. Okay, we don't like this, Kelly. Get us out of here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what that feels like, and that's what triggers that anxiety. I have panic attacks. I'm now on a mood stabilizer because I also have type 2 bipolarism. Um, but it all kind of just coincides. I also suffer from chronic illness because I'm a fibromyalgia patient. So all of those things, and I've also had traumatic losses. So the loss, the chronic pain, the PTSD, it kind of all goes in together, and it just kind of snowballs for me, for my personal um, mental health
It's
struggle.
just the buildup.
Yeah, so for other people, it may look like something else. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody's challenges with mental health looks different, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't negate the severity of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
somebody may be suffering with paranoid schizophrenia, or somebody may just have depression, right? They may
Mm-hmm.
have major depressive disorder. Just because I'm suffering with more than one illness and you only have one, it doesn't mean that it diminishes what your illness is. But that is my take. That's my connotation of what PTSD is and what it does to you, because it manifests itself physically.
Mm-hmm.
It can physically manifest itself. And
Okay.
so that's just my personal. And I'm not a mental health professional, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just a
Let me
professional
look. Let me
patient.
go ahead and look. Let me go ahead
I,
and put
I
that in
tell
there
people
real,
that's the
real quick.
disclaimer. But we are
We
not
are
mental health
not
professionals.
not
I'm a professional patient, though. I'm a professional patient, but I'm not a mental health professional. Okay, listen. Let me sit to that. Okay.
I was still to that with.
Okay, I'm a professional patient, but I'm not a mental health professional. So
There
if
you go.
you feel that you have some of those symptoms, or that you identify with anything that I'm saying, or that you've had something that was traumatic and that you have those triggers, then I encourage you to seek professional support.
Hmm. And
Seek
y'all, there
professional
are
support.
so
Let me
many
tell you,
resources.
so many resources out there.
So
I am
many.
an advocate, and so is Kelly. Kelly can tell you, but I am an advocate for finding out what works for you, because what works for me
Hmm.
and my coping mechanisms, that may not work
Hmm.
for you. But I know
Hmm.
what works for Jindia. And,
Hmm.
and I don't allow anybody to let me, or to make me, or to force me to deviate from what I know
Right.
works for me.
Exactly.
And
And
if it means
that's what
removing
I've told
myself,
so many people.
yes. If
Exactly.
that
Is you
means removing
definitely
yourself
have
from
to.
toxic people,
Hmm.
toxic situations,
Hmm.
toxic relationships, toxic
Hmm.
friendships, toxic
Hmm.
environments,
And it's
toxic
gonna be
work
hard at
settings.
first. It's gonna be hard at first, but baby, you know how we spoke about that peace of mind in the beginning? When all them toxins is gone, the peace of mind that you have. It's so much better.
Deuces,
Be like,
you gotta
Deuce,
learn.
ain't got
So what other
time.
what other questions do we have in the comments?
Okay, yes, yes, yes. So, do you find yourself overthinking things? Now, I know you had spoke on this,
Absolutely.
so even now, because you spoke on earlier in your earlier on years, you would overthink, but now that you kind of know exactly what it is, do you still overthink at this point?
I do. So all identifying what your illness is, all that does for you is it helps you to recognize and to notice when you are, so with type 2 bipolar disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I may cycle between mania and depression, like a few weeks of this and then a few weeks of that. So I'm on a mood stabilizer that prevents me from having the peaks and the valleys, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like at an even keel, but I can always identify when I'm getting ready to spiral either upward into a series of mania, or downward into a series of depression, a
Mm-hmm.
period of depression. I say a series, but when I can identify the behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
I can identify. So all of my senses are involved, right? My sense of sight, my smell, my taste, my hearing, my touch, right? I am able to, and my mental health provider was so amazing. She retired, and let me tell you, when my mental health provider retired, I went through a serious crisis because she had been my provider for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
But she taught me so much
Mm-hmm.
about how to identify when those behaviors were beginning to shift, so that I could try to scale back, right,
Mm-hmm.
on some of the behaviors. So, like some of the things, for instance, I'll give you an example with mania, right? When I'm about to hit a period of mania, I get really euphoric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get very euphoric, overly happy. I start spending. Okay, one of my main things that
Yeah.
I know, because I start having irresponsible spending habits. I spend my money very frivolously, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
go shopping, and then I'll wait, and I'll go and I'll do all of this, and then I spend all of this money, and then when I'm coming down off of that period of mania, then I go into a state of depression, because now I'm
Mm-hmm.
realizing, what have I done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm going and I'm feeling like I want to log on to Amazon and I want to shop, or I'm coming up with things in my mind that I think I need, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, time out, Jindia. Okay, and I have a conversation with myself, like, okay, self, let's evaluate this. Is this something we need, or are we about to go into a period of mania? And after
Mm-hmm.
I evaluate that, then I make my decision accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
so
you know, some I've been there. Like hearing you talk about it, it's like, oh, I think about all the times I done had a whole spending limit, just spending spree. And I think during them times that's when Torrid loved me the most. Cause I would have those moments. So for myself, I'm diagnosed with both bipolar type 1 and 2. along with depression. So for me, when I was, and I call, you know how you said your peaks and your lows, I call
Mhm.
it my roller coaster moment. So when I'm at the top of my roller coaster, is what they evaluate you when you go for an evaluation in the mental health field. They actually ask you, do you feel as though you're a god? Do you feel as though, like, it's questions that they ask you to really find out where your mind frame is at. So I'm filling out my paperwork and I'm telling them, listen, I feel like I'm on top of the world. I feel like I can just go, 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 go.
Yeah,
But in a sense, as my roller coaster is coming down, I'm going shopping. I mean, I'm doing some of everything, getting into it with people. My mood is changing. And then all of a sudden, boom, down at the roller coaster. And then it's like trying to pull yourself back to get to the point of no, like back up to your high. And people have to understand
that
that
is struggle.
it is it is a huge struggle. And now that I've been doing it for so long, been having my roller coaster moments for so long, now when I start to feel them drop, I'm like, hey, I need a little help. Now I'm able to recognize it more so now that I know exactly what's going on with me. Now that I actually know what it is, now that I know, when I start to feel myself crashing, I'm gonna try to have some self-care. That's when I incorporate my self-care, because I gotta figure out what's getting me to this low moment.
Right,
If it's a trigger, if it's something that's done took place, or if it's just a feeling that I have. And
yeah,
at that moment, once I know, it's like, okay, now let me get into gear and pull this roller coaster back up.
right.
And I look, I overthink a lot of times. I have a crew of people that I call, and I'm just like, hey, am I overthinking this? Am I tripping on this? And sometimes we have to have that sounding board. I feel as though I have to have it, just because I know at times if I keep thinking about it too much, then I'll end up either talking myself out of it, I'll end up making a bad decision or a good decision. Don't really know. But the point is, it's the overthinking of
Yes.
it all to make me say, oh, I need some help.
Yes.
And never be afraid to say, hey, I
So
cannot continue.
talk
I need just a little help.
out, in and
Mm-hmm.
out, in and out of a whole beef with somebody, and it's
Mm-hmm.
in my mind. So, for instance, like I overthink things, and I'm such an
Mm-hmm.
I'm an empath. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
empath to a almost to a default. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
meaning I feel very genuinely for others. Okay, and people share things with, or they come
Mm-hmm.
with their issues or a problem, called a transfer emotion, and that now becomes mine, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to fix it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a person that I want, like, I'm a tree hugger. I want
Mm-hmm.
everything okay for everybody. I
Mm-hmm.
would I would neglect self to make sure everybody else is okay, which is a
Mm-hmm.
death. But when I go down into my valley and I'm in my lowest of lows, you
Mm-hmm.
self care. Self care, I want to say, is probably one of the most difficult things to do when you are in a depressive state of,
Mm-hmm.
bipolarism. So the
Mm-hmm.
mania, deal with the mania. I could always keep the receipts and bring back the stuff that I bought from the store. But when
Mm-hmm.
you are in a depressive state of that, or when you're on the other end of that
Mm-hmm.
man, and you are in a depressive state, that I spent, I want to say the longest time I've ever spent in the bed, right? And I'm talking not getting out the bed. People look at me and they're like, girl, you're so well put together and you're so clean and you're so meticulous about your appearance. I don't believe that many days without getting out the bed. Honey, believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it. I have spent 12 days, 12 in my, I did not pass go. I did not collect $200. My husband had to wait till I got up to the bathroom, had to rip the
Mhm.
sheet off the bed to where I didn't have a bed to get back in because I was sulking. And I was having episodes of tearfulness. I would just cry and I didn't know why,
Mhm.
right? And then
Mhm.
he's off the bed and he was like, I can't let you do this, right? And let me, when you realize that somebody loves you in spite of you, that's that, because it took anger with him, like, why don't you just let me sulk and just soak in my stuff? Like, let me just
Mhm.
sit up. And he like,
Mhm.
no, I love you too much to let you do that, right?
Mhm.
But I had to, my mental health provider helped me realize that as my husband, supposed to be the head of the household, who's supposed to be the fixer, whose love language is acts of, kind of his love language is doing like physical acts. Okay, seeing me in that situation and not having the tools to fix it was painful for him. It made him feel, well, what use am I if I can't fix this for her? So he took the sheets off the bed that time that I stayed in the bed for 12 days. And I was angry with him, like I'm not doing you anything. Let me sit in this bed in my own funk, right? And just let me lay here. And it was like, no, I'm not gonna allow you to do that. And I think in that moment, I realized that I was not being fair to him. I was not being fair to my children. And so somebody asked me what was my favorite coping mechanism that I've learned so far. Candace Bell, she asks, what is my favorite coping mechanism that I've learned? And I would have to say, taking inventory. And what I mean by taking inventory is that taking account of all of the things that I have to be grateful for, all of the things that I have to be thankful for, and all of the things that God has brought me through, right? And realizing that if I take a list and I take inventory of all of the good things and all of the bad things, that my good days far outweigh my bad days. They far outweigh the bad ones. And so when I do that, I always bring myself back and I check myself. And I'm like, who am I to be crying? Crying for what? Who
Mhm.
am I to be feeling depressed and sad? Sad for what? I have a husband who loves me. I
Mhm.
have children who are healthy and who adore their mom. So when
Mhm.
I check myself and I do a hard check, like, I'm gonna need for you to get it together, and I sit and I talk to myself in the mirror just like this. Like,
Mhm.
what is wrong with you? What you doing? Like,
Mhm.
what is this? Right?
Mhm.
And I take inventory of my life. That's when I start to offend myself into action. And I have to
Mhm.
piss myself off a little bit and offend myself into action. And I start doing the things that I enjoy doing,
Mhm.
like swimming. I love to swim. I have a membership at the gym, so I go and I swim,
Mhm.
right? I love to dance. And my
And it's
husband,
so
I,
important to
and you've
find
seen this
things that
yourself.
you'll enjoy.
Yeah. You've seen yourself. You've come here and seen us dance. Like,
Mhm.
when I'm sad, and he knows that I'm sad, and he feels like I'm about to spiral,
Mhm.
he'll turn on some music and we'll get in here and we'll dance, right?
Mhm.
So I love to sing. I mean, not sing, but I love to dance and I
Mhm.
love to swim. Those are
Okay.
those are two things that I do, to kind of
Mhm.
get myself out of that funk.
Mhm.
Right? And so I like to be with my family, engage with my kids, watch my kids play basketball, which is their thing. Hey, sweetie. So that's what I do. That's my, you
What
know,
you do?
yeah.
Hey, the on Monday's show, we had Candy who came up and she shared her journey. Monday was pretty much just anyone could come up and share their journey, and she was telling us how what she's done through her just she got back to her own roots. So she does a lot of child play, and something she said that really just hit home with me was she had to go back to her childhood. So pretty much what she does with child play or kid play, or how I know I'm saying it wrong, and Candy, I know she's on here, so Candy, please forgive me for saying it wrong. However, her being able to be a kid again for that moment allows her to heal from
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
So, you know, I and she does coloring, and she does the dress up, and I love it, you
Yeah.
know, and I come, and it's something that helps her. She showed us this bead thing, and I'm gonna get it for me and my mom so that we can do it. But it's a bead, little tinsel thing that you do, and she says it just calms her. It helps. So for those of you that are out there and you guys are trying to figure out, hey, what can I do to just calm down my anxiety? What can I do to help? There are so many things that you guys can do. From Candy, she said she colors. I color. I write. Miss
That is
Jindia, she swim.
inner child therapy is what she.
That's what it is. Yes, inner
Yeah.
child therapy.
And I
Hey,
can identify with that, Kelly. Let me share something with you. I do what's called shadow work. And it's a spiritual mechanism, but it's almost kind of like with that inner child therapy. And with spiritual work, with shadow work, what I mean
mm,
by shadow work is that a lot of people, if you're into like spirituality, tapping into your more spiritual self, right? And doing spiritual baths.
mm,
Sometimes they call it candle magic. It and the people get caught up on the word magic.
mm,
Nothing with like I still believe in God, okay? That's
mm,
but it's about tapping into spirituality, okay? And I identify like chakras and energy and
mm,
recognize that energy is all made that we're all made up of atoms, right?
mm,
Like I have this saying that I said, as above so below, as without
mm,
it, as the universe so the soul, right?
mm,
So the traumatic events that have happened in my life, right? For instance, somebody said as an what is my favorite self-care charge, and I think probably one of my things that I was aside from swimming, because I
mm,
love swimming. When I'm in the pool, I'm weightless in that pool, and I become one with the water, and
mm,
all of my cares and everything, it's like it just gets washed away. And so I'm not like I don't have I'm not overweight. I'm not dealing with my knee pain or anything, and I just swim and I just do my, and it's just I can't even explain it. It's like I'm
mm,
another experience when I'm in that pool, and
mm,
I've had people watch me swim, and one of my cousins was like, Jen, watching you in that pool, it's like you drown. I have tunnel vision and nothing else. I drown everything out, right?
mm,
But as far as like in inner child therapy, one of the things that I do is I do shadow work. And what I mean by shadow is my shadow, right? I go back and I do work on the shadow of who I was in that moment that traumatic event took place, right? So let's say the night of my brother's murder, June 22nd, 2014. I was what, 30, 37 years old, okay? My only sibling got shot and killed, practically died in my arms, got shot and killed by an off-duty police officer, okay? It'll be 7 years the second of this year. So I go back and I talk to the shadow of me that lost her brother that night. And I go back and I talk to her and I let her know, right? In order for the now me to be okay, I gotta go back and I gotta work on the then me. Because
mm,
in that moment when her brother got killed, part of her died that night, right?
mm,
The whole world came tumbling down. But I gotta go back and I gotta talk to that woman. I gotta talk to the 37-year-old me. And I gotta love on her. I gotta hug her. And I have to tell her that she's gonna be okay, right? I have to tell her that she's beautiful, that she's loved, right? That she has helped so many people and that
mm,
she's impactful in these people's lives. And
mm,
that even though it's the most traumatic thing, that she's gonna take that trauma and she's gonna use her testimony to minister to other people and to who have gone through similar experiences, to let them know that eventually they're going to be able to breathe again, right? But
mm,
I got to go back and I got to love on her, right?
mm,
I got to hug her. I love her, right? I got to let her know that she matters. I got to let her know that life as she knows it may change.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be okay again. What happened to her will never be okay, but she
Mm-hmm.
is going to be okay. So that is part of my shadow work. Now, doing shadow work, does that mean that the now me will never have bad days? No. I'm still gonna have moments where I'm gonna have those days where I'm just crying for no reason and I don't even know why, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means I gotta go back and put in the work. And that's
Mm-hmm.
part of mental health. That's if I could have one takeaway from this interview that we're doing today, it would be to people that are struggling with mental health that this journey is a job and you have to constantly put in the work. You
Mm-hmm.
always put in the work. Don't think that if you do it, then you can just, wash your hands.
Mm-hmm.
It is a constant battle. And you don't have to worry about the peanut gallery or what other people's opinion of you have nothing to do with you. But
Mm-hmm.
you learn how to put in the work and be willing to constantly put in the work on self.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest gem or my biggest piece of that I offer anybody that struggles with even the most minute. And I don't think there's a small thing of mental health. I think, but if you struggle with the most minor mental health issue, put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not,
And that's the most important thing is you definitely have to put in the work, because putting in the work means, to me, when you put in the work, that just lets me know that you want it. That not, it doesn't just let someone else know, but when you put in the work, that lets your doctors know you want it. That lets your friends know you want it. Those that's gonna support you when you want it and you want to go forward, taking it one day at a time is where it starts. You don't have to know what tomorrow is going to bring or what next week is going to bring. It's living it's living for today and living for the right now. So then that way you will know that when tomorrow comes, if you made it yesterday, that means you're going to make it tomorrow. And if you made it that day, that means you're going to make it the next day. And every day is not going to be peaches and cream. However, if you just keep pushing and keep going, there, I promise y'all, there's definitely light at the end of that tunnel, and you just have to keep going. And you got to know that once you get there, the light is so bright, and the moment that you're there, and like me and Miss Jen are able to sit here with you guys today because we found our light. We got to our light, and now even when our tunnels do come for us, we're able to still shine bright and smile through it all, because we know when those hurdles come, how to handle them. And it's not always easy. Once again, I've been dealing with mental health since I was 15. We're gonna say 15. It was probably way younger. Truthfully, like you, how you said, without it being diagnosed, documented. If I could have documented, mine started at 5. So I have dealt with it for a very long time. And through it all, I have finally gotten to my tunnel. And when I got to my tunnel, there are still days that I go back in and I hide. And just like you, Miss Jen, you said you've been in bed for 12 days. I believe that's just about how long it was for me when my godmother died. And God rest her soul, January 1st of 2013. She passed away, and that was like the most traumatic, outside of losing my best friend, losing my godmother and my grandmothers. That was hard on me. And
mm-hmm,
it took, just like your husband, it took my dad coming into my room, because I had all the lights off, I had all the windows closed, I was underneath the cover. I didn't get up, I didn't eat. I had lost count on days. And I was actually in my room because I said, well, you know something, at least I just changed my bed sheets. I did with your husband. At least I just changed my bed sheets. And while I was in the process of changing them, my dad comes in and he's like, you know, your godmother wouldn't like this. You need to get up and get going. And I said, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. That's what it was. I'll do it tomorrow.
tomorrow.
And Let
I'm
me
gonna
say,
do.
I ain't gonna lie. Tomorrow came and I didn't do it till like a couple of days after, but I did it.
I'm
Cause
telling you,
look
I
at me now.
I can't even lie to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I stayed in the bed for so long that when I finally did get up and take a bath, I took a bath. But when I got out to dry my body off, and I did the towel to dry my
Listen,
body off,
guys, we are having
was
technical difficulties, guys. So sorry about this.
and wash again because I'm like my skin was coming, like my skin was. I had been in the bed for that long, and like the girl, it's just crazy. I'll give you an example, another example, right? Sunday, my son saved the baby. He saved this little baby. And when he came in the house and he told me that he had saved the baby, I didn't think, I was like, boy, you ain't saved no baby. Quit, like, go on somewhere, get off my line. You ain't saved no baby. But when he explained to me that he had saved this little baby, I immediately started having anxiety. Okay. And I started trembling. And I was nervous, and he was okay. He was sitting there telling me the story. He pulled up a chair and he was beside my bed. He was explaining to me how he had saved this baby girl. But in my mind, it took me to a place where I didn't want to be. It triggered my PTSD. And I started crying. And that next day, I cried the whole entire day. And, like, Lisa Michelle, I'm so sorry for your loss. She was saying, she stays in the spiritual realm because when she lost her mom 8 months ago, it took her, she took care of her till the end, and she watched her take her last breath. And then she was like, she lost herself knowing both parents, dad and mom, passed. And I think for me, I talked to y'all about shadow work, but when my son was explaining to me about how he was dribbling his basketball down the street, and this baby must have just learned how to walk because he was dribbling his ball down the street and he heard this noise and he thought it was a kitten. But when he looked, it was this baby. It was this baby, and she had on a onesie and a tutu, and she was barefoot. She didn't have no socks. And so he picks this baby up. She had made it across the street and all the way down the street, several houses away from where she lives. So he's walking down the street with his basketball in one hand and this baby in the other hand, right? And he's trying to figure out where she come from, because he said when he found her, she was getting ready to walk up to somebody's house. Now, we got stray dogs in this neighborhood. We got who knows what in this neighborhood, okay? And this baby, again, he said she was wobbling. So she had just learned how to walk. You hear me? And so he said it took him a minute. He had been walking down the street for like 5-10 minutes, he said. And finally, he said this woman comes out the house with a blanket around her back and a towel in her front. So the woman was naked. The woman comes out the house naked, and she saw him walking down the street with her baby. She ran towards him and she started crying. Oh, thank you. And she grabs her baby and she turns, she goes in the house, right? So I called my mama on the phone, and I just was like, Mom, I was like, Dondre rescued this baby. And I was like, and I just can't stop crying. And I was like, he okay? And she was like, is the baby okay? And I was like, yeah, she fine. And she was like, what's the matter? And I was like, Mom, I don't know. I just can't stop crying because, and she was like, I know. She said, you just can't stop thinking about the what ifs. You just can't stop thinking about what if that baby had gotten hit by a car. You can't stop thinking about what if that woman had called 911 and the police would have pulled up and seen your child walking down the street with his basketball in one hand and the baby in the other.
another.
It would have ended up like your brother. And when she said that, I just broke down. Because while I was proud of my baby for rescuing this child and getting that child back to her mama, in my mind, I just kept seeing. I kept wondering, what if she had called the police because the child was missing, and my poor baby was trying to bring the child back home, but when he pulled up, all they saw was him walking down the street with this
Mm-hmm.
missing baby? Would my baby have even known? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what, like the what ifs? And
Mm-hmm.
but nothing happened, right?
Yep.
Nothing happened. But I could not get past that. And I stayed in that funk and I cried. This happened on Sunday. I cried all day Monday, all day long. And I don't know why. But it was because that PTSD.
Mm-hmm. It was a trigger.
It was a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
It brought something to light that I had
So,
trying to cope with.
right. So
It
let me ask you this because,
like the physiological
mm-hmm.
emotions and
Mm-hmm.
the feelings and those senses. It
Right.
engaged all five of my senses
Mm-hmm.
of what I felt that
Mm-hmm.
night that I
Mm-hmm.
lost my brother, and I just couldn't. I
Yeah.
didn't
So,
say that out loud, but for my mama to say it out loud, because she my
yeah.
mama and she know her child, for
Yeah.
her to say it out loud and validate my feelings and
Mm-hmm.
let me know he's covered. You
Mm-hmm.
pray, he's covered by the
Mm-hmm.
blood, and he got a praying mama and a
Mm-hmm.
praying grandma and a
Right.
praying, right, and praying grandparents, and
Yeah.
he's covered and he is okay.
Right. So let me ask you this: with what's going on today in today's society, where we do have cops, they are killing our black men and women, and with your brother losing his life by a cop, let me ask you, knowing that you have a son, and like you just said, that really did mess with your PTSD. When he's not home, does your PTSD get triggered as soon as he walked out now, more so than it did before? Especially now with the rate of them killing us at an all-time high.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
how do you handle that as, first off, how do you handle that as a mother? How do you handle that as someone who just is so, if you took away being a, well, you can't really take away being a mother, but how do you deal with that on a mother aspect, and then just on a self-care aspect of knowing that when he leaves, a peace that can still come over you? Do you feel as though you have peace when he's not at home? Is there still some anxiety, just, when he's not at home? What, with what you've gone through so far with your brother, and now with everything, how the world is, changing, how do you handle that in today's time now?
That's a great question, and I can say this: the anxiety never goes away. Um, However, I do my part in that I advocate with a group called Mothers Against Police Brutality, and I am an avid member. I'm a faithful advocate, and we advocate not just on social media and with protests, but we also advocate for social justice on Capitol Hill and for policy change. Okay.
Okay.
um there is no set of regimented rules to that type of anxiety and that type of grief. You can look back on my Facebook page and you can see I've been in it. Like, I'm down
Mm-hmm.
here with my sleeves rolled up, putting in like elbow grease with this program and raising awareness.
Mm-hmm.
However, as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
when my son is not home, right? He can ask. So I'll give you an example. When the election was going on, he would ask to go to the park, right? And I'd be like, no.
Mm-hmm.
When they were saying that, they'd say things like, oh, well, the Proud Boys have been called to action by Donald Trump and this, that, and the third. And he's like, Mom, I'm going to the park. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that I pray to a God that I believe in and that I
Mm-hmm.
have faith in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that he is covered. And that if you're going to worry, don't pray. And if you're going to pray, don't worry.
Exactly.
But it's hard. It's difficult. It doesn't mean that I'm not concerned and
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have those thoughts in the back of
Mm-hmm.
my mind. But I also have to understand and come to the realization that everybody's day and time is already predestined and that I cannot control that. Okay.
Okay.
But it is very difficult. And I have my husband to thank for being an advocate for my son and for saying that, babe, I know that you're anxious, but we can't take his childhood away. We cannot, and for approaching me with approaching me in a gentle way and reminding me that I cannot allow the oppressors and those people that are doing these horrible things to take our son's childhood. So when he puts it that way, it's like, you know what, you're right. I cannot allow them per se, or those people, or the bad people, or that negative energy, or those negative vibes, or those fears, because God didn't give me the spirit of fear, right? I can't allow that to overtake me and to rob my son of his childhood.
Right.
So like
Right.
before we did our live, I dropped him off at Lifetime Fitness. He's at Lifetime playing basketball. Um, but I felt,
You felt
comfortable.
at least a little bit better
Yeah,
knowing where
yeah.
he's at. Yeah.
He's a bit better knowing that, okay, I know where he is. But like my husband has allowed him to like ride his bike to the park or go with his friends to the YMCA to play basketball. It's a helpless feeling, but he's 15 years old. I can't hold his hand.
Right.
My daughter is 17. I can't hold her hand. I cannot protect him from everything. If I'm getting down and I'm saying my prayers every night, why am I praying if I don't have faith that God is going to cover my children? But it's, mentally, it's very difficult. I'm not saying that. It sounds good, but it's difficult. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's very difficult.
Well, without further ado, we're going to jump into some more questions real quick. So we have her from Miss Lisa Michelle. My son is in the Marines, and I just found out he's dealing with that. But by him being stationed in Japan, I had to give him God's words because he said he had to get help to keep him from snapping. What advice I can give him since he's so far away? He got till February 2022 to come out of Japan, and one more to completely get out would make 8 years. Let's see. Okay, so she's at work, but we're gonna go ahead and still let her know she's gonna watch the replay. But for someone who has a son that's in Japan, like hers, and he is dealing with PTSD, what advice could you give a mother?
Okay, so from a mother's perspective, you want to encourage him to utilize the tools that are available to him as a veteran. Um, so how can I put? Well, there's no way to put it gently. You're here and he's in Japan. He needs to utilize the tools that are available to him in Japan. The military, because there are such high rates of mental health issues and anger issues. I think everybody I know came out of the military with an anger disorder. And
I actually believe that I know a lot of people that came out
because we've
and their
had,
anger is on 1,000.
yeah,
And I just want to hug them and
yes.
love them.
If he's, I need for him to reach out to his medical so that he can get a consult for mental health. And I need for him to get on something to help him when he's on the cusp of anger. So I have something that I have a PRN drug, and that means an as needed drug that I have that I'm prescribed by my mental health provider, and I don't take on a regular basis, but it is specifically for when I feel like I'm about to snap. It is designed for, it says for anger or fits of rage, and it says for mood. So when I'm angry and I feel like, okay, somebody has pissed me off to the peak of my festivity, that is what that pill is for. Okay, I take one pill, put it under my tongue, and it will stabilize my mood for me to be able to get out of my anger and get into a headspace where I can make a decision that is not going to change my life and everybody who loves me life. Okay. That's important, because in situations where you can't control the people in your unit, and you have to put up with these people, because you can't say, oh, I quit. It's important that you have something that you do have control over. And the only thing that he has control over is himself. So teach him to have, so some of the techniques that I used to have to use was breathing techniques, right? And that's 10 count. Just a 10 count breath. Inhale for 10 counts, right? And it does something in your head. Like it gives you, if you do it too fast, you'll get lightheaded. But you have to
definitely take
and
your time.
sometimes to the top of that 10 count, hold it there. All right. Okay. And I'm doing, like, I'm telling y'all real talk. These are things that I do when I'm angry. Okay. Sometimes I have to, like, people like, girl, do you have a nervous twitch? No, I don't have a nervous twitch. What I'm doing is I'm typing. I'm typing the words that I want to say to you, but instead of me physically saying it to you, I'm typing it on my typewriter. And Kelly, the next time you come to my house, when you see my fingers moving, you're going to be like, well, I'll be doggone. I thought she was just saying that. This heifer is really typing. Yeah. Like, I could be cussing you out, but I'm typing it. I ain't saying it out loud. So I didn't offend
And
you.
see, I got to work on that part. It's the working on the not saying it out loud. Because, honey, I have no filter. I say what I say and I mean what I'm going to say, and pray to God that it come. But I will say, I'm always respectful with it. I do try to be nice about it. But now, whatever happened, just,
Yeah.
pray to God once it happens. I tell people all the time, I play a game on Facebook, those games on Facebook, and Facebook will always tell the truth on me. Let's see. She said, "LOL, thank you. I should have practiced that earlier." Hey, it's okay if you didn't practice it earlier. You can start practicing it
Right.
now. And that's the great part about it. Let's see, because we do have the comments, y'all. I'm gonna tell you now. I'm scrolling up so I can make sure everybody comment is on the screen and everybody can see. She said, "Thanks for breaking that down because a lot might feel some symptoms, like you say. So thank you so much for putting that. Let's see. So do you think that that was a form of bullying that triggered your mental illness?" So I think she's speaking on earlier when you were stating how growing up you were the lightest, you were the black girl of the class, and then the technically the white girl in the hood. So do you feel as though that bullying, or do you feel as though that was a form of bullying that added to where you're at, where you've transitioned in your journey?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I physically would get, and then when I would go off, then they would run. Remember one time I was at the bus stop. I got jumped by 4 girls at the bus stop, and I unleashed, and they ran. And I remember turning into something that I didn't recognize, because the audacity of the 4 of them to jump me and then run. When that and it was like, I don't know. I can't even explain. And this is embarrassing, but it was like once I unleashed that rage, it felt good, and
It do.
I became a fighter. Like, it was nothing. Like, you want to fight about it? Like, not so much. Not that I was the aggressor, but
Right.
after that, it was like nothing for me to don't
Mm-hmm.
like don't let this fool you. I will get with you type thing. But it was a form of bullying. It was bullying. So when you go to stopbullying.org website, constitute verbal and physical abuse. Bullying also by way of exclusion. But bullying is anything that is repetitive and intent. And I was repetitively, constantly, and repeatedly picked on and made fun of for not being, you know,
what
and
they wanted you to be, in a sense.
not conforming to that
Mhm.
that norm. You know,
Mhm.
I grew up in the hood. You know, my
Right.
trap. You feel me?
Mhm.
So I was, like you said, too white for the black kids, too black for the white kids. So I didn't fit nowhere. I had to make my own lane. And yeah, I didn't realize until probably about maybe a year ago that was what triggered the part of me that always wanted to be accepted. That always
Mhm.
to tell people yes because I needed for them to accept me and I
Mhm.
like me. Now, oh, I really don't care.
Mhm. So I think we got everybody. I'm trying to make sure I got everybody question, because I do always want to make sure that we do answer everybody's question. Um, we have, I mean, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me say that I have truly enjoyed this here. Let's see. I think we got. Let's see. Hey, Queens. Hello, Mr. Walker. Oh, we got Lit Face in here. Hey, hey, Lit Face. Look, I'm gonna have to start doing something for people who come back and watch the show frequently. I'm gonna have to come up with something for them.
Mayo over here. I got my elotes corn.
Oh, elotes. Oh,
Okay.
well, listen, you guys. Y'all can make sure to follow Miss Jen on all platforms. Well, on IG it is I am Jess Jindia. I'm gonna make sure I put it right here for you guys. She has been our special guest, Miss Jindia. I am Jess Jindia, and make sure y'all do also follow her business page, which is the House of Jewelry. Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Yes, the House of Jury. The information will be in the description below. Um, if you guys would like to be or know more about the organization that she is a part of, I will make sure that I do include that information as well in the description for you guys to be able to get in touch with her or just get in touch with them in general. Miss Jen, thank you for coming.
Having me. And can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You are doing the dang thing. Keep doing what you're doing, sweetheart. I want you to know that you are doing an amazing job. I'm so proud of how you are just consistently chasing your dream. Guys, the anybody convince you that you are not worthy of all of the that God has in store for you. And listen, you're gonna get that organic following. You're gonna get those subscribers, and you are gonna be successful because your heart is okay. So you continue with, and I love you. So eyes.
You give me
What you tearing up for?
every time you give me. I was doing fine. And then I almost made it through the whole show not crying. And then in the end, you tell me how proud you are of me, Lord. You
You know,
guys, we've had so many technical difficulties today. And I know there was nothing but the devil, because somebody needed to hear tonight's show. And I truly am upset with the devil. Devil, you mean you gonna have a talk with Jesus. Miss Jean, you just know
yeah.
how to make me cry. Why did you even have to say that? I was fine.
You
I
gotta
was
give
fine.
you gotta give credit where credit is due, and sometimes I think, in especially with all of the media and everybody wanting to be in the limelight and wanting to have their own platform. I think sometimes people they get caught up in like they in the persona, or they get this negative connotation of what it means in social media, or like there's not a lane or not enough room for everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lane for everybody. There's enough
Mm-hmm.
There's enough fame and enough money and enough food for everybody to eat. And so you got to know that sometimes people ain't going to come to the table. Sometimes people ain't going to come to the party just you who's throwing it.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to throw it anyway. Sometimes you're going to be in a room with people and they ain't going to clap because it's you. But you can't
Mm-hmm.
be scared. You can't be scared to hop up the table and clap for yourself and give yourself a standing ovation. So yes, yes,
Well,
good job.
I thank you. I thank you. I thank you so much. Cause look, in a short time frame of us just working together, and y'all, I help Miss Jen with her kids with their YouTube, well, with her daughter's YouTube channel. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the JDR channel. Make sure y'all do that. I had to plug my boo in real quick, but y'all, you just know how to just. I didn't know you was gonna end it like that. With just thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
what I'm gonna say. Is thank you. It really. I will say, I'm proud to be here. I am. If matter of fact, at the end of this month, the last show of the month is just gonna be about me. You guys will get a chance to learn so much about me at that time. Hopefully, my doctor will be my special guest, and you guys will get to meet the woman who deals with my crazy on a daily basis. You'll get to hear from her firsthand how I really just don't give up. But but thank you for just being you. Thank you for being able to stand up and talk and tell people your journey. Thank you for coming on to the Kelly J Show and being able to just say, hey, I've gone through this. This has affected me, and this is where I'm at now. And to anyone who's watching the replay, or if you're watching it now, understand that we are two women that are in business. And she has a whole family. I am happily divorced. However, both of us have two different scenarios in life, and yet we're still here, and yet we're still thriving. So I said all that to say never give up. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Don't ever give up on your life. Things are going to get hard. Things are going to get rough. But you do not give up. Know that you guys are never alone. If y'all ever want to talk, feel free to DM me anytime. And I'm always willing to talk to anyone. I am not a psychiatrist. I am no form at all of any type of doctor or anything like that. What it is I'm someone who deals with mental, as Jindia said. She's not a professional, but she's a professional patient. And I like that. Can I put that on my shirt? I like that.
Okay,
I like that.
that's
But
patient.
that's definitely what I am. So guys, without further ado, I thank you guys, Miss Jen. I thank you once again for coming on. It was a pleasure having you. You guys make sure that you guys do follow her on all platforms, okay guys? And without further ado, we are done. Who am I kidding? Y'all, they didn't even work. I've been having technical issues all night. They didn't work either. Trying it again.